Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we are looking at the We Are Memory Keepers gift bag punch board. Now this punch board came up in a discussion in my Facebook group, which is called Maymay Made It, and so did I. And I said, do you want me to review it? And several people said yes. And I was given a gift card by Laura Wright for my birthday, so I went and got it. I got it from Michael's. It was $19.99. They had it on sale for 25% off. And then I had a coupon for an additional, so I ended up getting it for like less than $15, like really cheap. So yeah, and I already have a billion ideas with it, but I want to show you how it works, so let's get started. So when you purchase the punch, you get the gift bag punch itself, you get a little score tool, which we're familiar with. This is the same one you get in most of your punch boards, and of course the packaging. One thing I wanted to show you about the packaging is this. The back of these can be a little confusing. Like if you pick this up in the store, there's all this writing and it will kind of scare you off, but I want to debunk that for a second. This is a photo of the punch, and if you look underneath it, there's this like little bubble of all this text, and you're thinking, I'm just not reading all that. Well, the truth of the matter is this. There's 4 languages and only one little statement here, so it's like easy, just punch and score. But there's 4 different languages, so it kind of looks cluttery and confusing. Over here, 4 different languages, only one that you would be able to read, and it says use any paper to customize gift bags to various sizes. So don't be intimidated by all this writing on the back. Just read the first sentence. I know that kind of throws some people when they're looking, they're like, oh, it's too confusing. And yes, some of these punch boards are very confusing. This one is not. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say this isn't one. Let's get into it first. Okay. So with the gift bag punch board, you have a small, medium, and a large, okay? The cool thing about this board that's different than other boards, from what I remember, I could be wrong because I'm not a punch board expert. Let me bring you guys in to see this. This one tells you trim your paper small, medium, or large, okay? But it also gives you centimeters. And I think we've had centimeters on some other boards, but this one for sure has centimeters. So it tells you 10 inches, 11 inches, and 12 inches. Here's what that means. The width of your bag, if you're making a small one, needs to be 10 inches. If you're making a medium, it needs to be 11 inches. If you're making a large, it needs to be 12 inches. However, for height, you can trim the paper anywhere between 4 inches and 12 inches. So you pretty much can control your height all you want to. These small, medium, and large guides are going to control your width of your bag. Okay, so that's pretty simple. So let's get to making one. All right, so we're where you guys can see it. The other thing, I want to kind of debunk this as well. See all this writing and how confusing it can be? It's the same situation. Only one of these is going to be in a language you read, more than likely, unless you're bilingual. But if you look at this one, this first sentence is for English. The second page, the second instruction is one sentence. The third is one sentence. So it's not as confusing as it seems, but it can be overwhelming if you just go, oh, there's so much writing. I'm not a reader, so I understand. Now, the reason this came up in discussion is because people were asking if you could use thin paper with it. So what I thought I'd do is we'd start with some typing or copy paper, showing my age, some copy paper, and we would just test it. So this piece, I decided we'd make the smallest bag. This is a 10-inch piece of copy paper by 4 inches wide. So we're just going to get started. What you do to start is you put your paper into the punch and you line it up with the start line. This says start down here at the bottom. So you line it up with the start line and you punch. This punch is a bit confusing for me. When I press really hard, it doesn't go through. When I press easier, it tends to go through. It's a little harder. Look, and it did not punch that paper, so maybe it won't do thin paper. Let's try it again. It's just kind of moving the paper around. Yeah, how about that? It just kind of ripped that paper up. So that's the first time I tried it. I want to do one other thing here. There's some paper stuck in it now, so let me get that out. And let me try punching not on an edge. Let's just do a punch. Wow, that was hard to get through that thin paper. How weird is that? I'm shocked by that. Maybe it's because the paper is not crisp and clear, or crisp and easy to punch. Let's try it on the end again just to see if maybe it was me or my punch. Nope, again, it does not do well on the thinner paper that way. However, in my Facebook group, someone mentioned if you have a certain thin paper you want to use, just glue it to some cardstock or adhere it down to a thicker paper, and you would be able to do it. So you know what? We're gonna move on from this one and try the next one I have prepared. Now this is a little thicker paper. It's still paper, it's not cardstock, okay? Okay, so we're gonna try this one. Now this one is 11 by 6 inches. We're gonna make a little bigger bag than that one, okay, that we were gonna do. So same thing, we're gonna put it into the start line. By the way, this will be a medium bag because it's 11 inches. We'll punch that edge. Now that went through super easy and it punched just right. See that? Now I'm gonna put this back in so I can do the score marks. Now then, this is where it can get super confusing if you don't pay attention. Using your instructions, okay, it says align left edge of the paper with the yellow start line. Paper width should be running horizontally. So that means the long part of your paper in the punch, okay? It says punch the paper by pressing firmly on the mechanism, score horizontal, and small, medium, or large, depending on the measurement of your bag. So we're gonna score the horizontal, which is here. And it kind of sits into this little crook and it works real easy. That's super easy to get, okay? Then we're making a medium bag, so I'm gonna score it on medium. I'm not pressing real hard because my paper's pretty thin. Then we're gonna move this down. It says shift paper left so that the small, medium, or large score line you just made is lined up with the little caption bubble indicator. Remember that little guy? He's on like every punch board, okay? You're gonna punch, and then we're gonna score. Now this time you're gonna score differently, okay? We're gonna score the horizontal again. You're gonna score that horizontal every time, okay? Then, keeping it in place, we're gonna score next to this little jut out, next to it again, okay? And then there's a little notch here we're gonna score. This is creating the side of the bag. This is that piece that will indent in the side of the bag. Now you also, when you're here, need to score this, okay? Just remember, this is the front of the bag, this is the side of the bag. So when you're when you're doing the side of the bag, you need to do all of this plus the side, okay? Now we're gonna move it again. This time when you move it, you're gonna move it all the way to the last score line you did. So we're gonna pass all those middle ones, move it to that little indicator dude, punch, horizontal, okay, medium, because this is the front of the bag, that's all we're doing, or this is either front or back. Then we're gonna move again. This time that little indicator right here to the last line we scored. This time we'll punch, go around our little V shape here, into the notch, and the side, and the horizontal. It seems like a lot, doesn't it? You have to kind of picture this bag out as you're going. I think you do anyway. Oop, I got one more punch. See how that's not punched? We gotta slide this down to that last score line and punch. So you're left with this. Now I wanna tell you something. I have got about 3 projects already in mind for this punch shape. Like this morning, I have just been like, oh, I could do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. And I want to share those with you guys. So if you want to see the other ideas I have for this punch board, tell me in the comments below. And if you do, I'll do a couple of those videos this week because I think there's a lot of stuff we can do with this. Now I cut that little kind of piece away. We don't need it. And now we can assemble this little bag. So basically we've done the first 9 steps of our bag. Okay, I did cut that little notch away because we don't need it. Now I'm gonna flip this little instruction sheet over and I'm gonna do the instructions on the back side. And it is optional. This is if you want to tie a string through your bag, but since we're doing a test, I wanna show you how it works. So for this, you're gonna turn your board around and we're gonna be using this end. The first thing it tells us to do is cut tab edges at an angle. Now this is the tab, so it's telling us to cut an angle here, just like so. Now we've done that before in making paper projects. That's to take some bulk out and give us a cleaner fold. I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't know if that's something you have to do, but it tells us to do it, so we did it. Using the score tool as a bone folder, crease all your score lines. Let's do that. We'll move this dude out of the way, and we will crease all of these score lines with our bone folder. Now on these guys, I'm gonna go ahead and fold these in up to that little V because I think that makes it easier in the finished project. So these are the edges, the little sides of the bag that we did. Just gonna crease that to that V. Now you can go ahead and kind of get that V started so that it will fold well when you put the bag together. Something like that. Okay, then we still have these little guys we need to just fold up and crease down. Now this one was super easy to fold because it was only 6 inches and it fit on the board and gave me a full score line. The very first bag I ever did, I did in 12 inches, okay? So anything past 6, you're just folding on your own. You're just matching up that score line and folding on your own. And that's what it recommends for you to do, by the way. Anything past 6, just let those be your guide down here to fold the rest of the bag at the top. Might be a little wonky for you, but it wasn't really that hard, to be honest. Now this punch board is a little bit different. I've turned it around so that we're using the extra punch here, and I don't remember having a line like this to line up with the back punch, with what they call the reverse punch. I think this is the first time I've ever seen that. So here's what you do. At the top up here, it says this is optional, but if you want to put a string through your bag, it gives you these instructions. So here's what it tells you to do. The first thing I did was I notched this little edge like it told me to. This little tab, I notched that, okay? Then you're gonna line up every line into this reverse punch and punch. And that's gonna add circles. Not every line, I take that back. It's the first line, and then you skip that middle fold of the bag and do this line. Then you go to the next line, skip that middle fold and go to the next one, and then do the last one. So you just line the edge up with that little point. Let me show you what that looks like. That looks confusing, doesn't it? But let me do it from lining up at the bottom. So you're gonna do the first fold punch, this middle fold punch, this one punch, and then the edge. So if you use these guys to help you, you'll know this one points to the one I need to line up in the reverse punch, if that makes sense. You can see that. So that's not bad. Now you have all those little holes to run some string through. Now we just get to assemble. And I got a little ahead of myself a while ago and started to assemble and forgot to show you guys those hole punch. So you'll see I have some glue residue here already. So here's what I do. I fold that little fold down, bring this little guy over, just line him up and square it all up nice and neat. Just like this. And then we have the very beginning of our bag. All right, so now back here. These ends open out, these ends go in. Pick which is the front and back, that's totally up to you. And then you wanna glue this closed. What I do to glue it closed is I add some art glitter glue, which is available in my store, by the way. I'm sure someone will ask. It's my most asked question, and I agree with you, it's awesome. But there's a link below to the store. Okay, then I'm just gonna pat that bottom down, let that glue catch. You can do that with a dry glue. Now see, because we did this little fold right here earlier, it makes this part super easy. When you do all those holes like we did and you bring this together, watch what happens. Those holes line up so you can run string through there and tie it. Now that's pretty cool, isn't it? I think that works really neat. You don't have to have the holes, and you can also do them different. Look at this. I did these holes in the middle just playing around, so you could just tie a bow right through there, and you could fold your bag down and not do holes at all. You know, you could put a little clothespin or something like that up there. So I think this is a super cool tool. And I'm really excited about the other ideas I have for it. So let's go back and do a little talk about it real quick. Some of the big questions I get when I do punch boards are this: is this hard to punch? It's fairly hard to punch. I'm not gonna say that it was super easy. It seems easier the thicker the paper I put in it, which is really interesting. So you can do it, but you might have to use both hands and kind of press pretty good toward the back. Now something I do like is that We Are Memory Keepers has put this cushion toward the back this time. There's a little cushion here, and that kind of tells you punch back here, and that's a good thing because a lot of times you end up punching up here and there's no punch in this area. It's all back there. This part can get a little confusing, but if you just take your time, I also love that they give us a diagram. So if we're not sure where we're at, we can kind of go, oh, here we are, and here we are, and we can see exactly what we're doing. This diagram also shows us what all of these little dudes are. Now, do you have to have this punch board to create this product? I don't think so. I think you can do this with a crocodile for hole punching, and I think you can do it with a scoreboard and get pretty much the same product pretty simply, because this is, I mean, even though you get this little piece right here, which is a little harder to do, I don't really think this changes the bag enough for me to justify spending the money on this when I could just do a score line down and get it anyway. If you're confused about what I'm saying about that, let me know and I'll do a video showing you how to make a bag with just your scoreboard, but you probably can Google that and see it everywhere. That's really the only thing for me that sets this guy apart as a gift bag punch, okay? So that's my opinion. Does it do what it says? Yes. Is it neat and cool construction? Absolutely. Whoever came up with it, they're brilliant, right? Just the engineering of these guys. Now, the other projects I want to do with it, I think might make it a worthy thing to have in your collection. So comment below if you want to see the other things I have in mind for it. Let me know if you have one and what you're using it for, and tell me if you think I was wrong, if you think everyone needs this in their collection. I think this is something that if you don't want to have to think out the measurements of creating your own bag, which you would have to do the thinking, okay? So if you didn't want to think out the measurements of doing your own bag and you just want to be able to sit down and put together a little paper bag super quick, then this is definitely the way to go. Especially now since you can use coupons and you can get them fairly cheap, you probably wouldn't have to spend more than like $10 on this depending on where you purchased it. So it's a cool thing to have. Now, if you know me very well, I collect them. I like to have them just because I'm a collector of these punch boards, so I'm very happy to have it in my collection. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks, Laura, for my gift card. That's what got us this today. I'm super excited to have it now as a birthday present, and I appreciate you. Now, if you have this product or if you make bags in any other way or any project, share it with us over on my Facebook group, which is called Maymay Made It, and so did I. I love to see what you guys are doing and to chat with you about what's going on in your crafty world. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.